Hey guys, and welcome back to another Java programming tutorial. So in today's video, we are going to be going over inner classes. Now, inner classes are pretty easy actually. All they are is really just a class inside of another class or inside of a method, and I'll show you some examples as we go along. But since we already know all about classes and methods and static and whatnot, I'm not going to explain too much of it. I'm just going to kind of show you how we can create instances of inner classes in different ways. So what I'm going to start by doing is inside of this outer class here that I've already created. You can see on the side here, I'm just going to create another class called inner class, right? Now, inner class is just going to simply have one method in it, and I'm just going to make this a public void display, and in here, all I'm going to do is simply just display something to the screen so we know that we're actually in the right class here, okay? And I'll say this is an inner class, okay? And what's our error here? Class at token. Interesting. Must have made a mistake somewhere here. 1 second, guys. Oh, sorry. I put these two brackets here. Don't know why I added those. Anyways, okay, so this is an inner class. Now, outside of this class, I'm going to create another method that's going to be a part of the outer class, okay? So this class is actually contained within the outer class, meaning that currently, since it's private, we can only actually access it from within our class. So if we want to create an instance of this, that means we must need a method in our class to do that. So in this case, I'm going to say public void inner, and in here, we're going to take nothing. And all we're going to do is we're going to create an instance of our inner class and just display it, okay? So we're just going to say inner class in equals new inner class, like that, okay? And then all we're going to do is just call in.display and make sure that this is working. Okay, so now our class is finished. We have an inner class and we have this void inner, and all that does is create an instance of our inner class and print it to the screen. Again, note that this is private, meaning we can only access it from within our class, okay? So now if I go to my main.java, I can run a command, or whatever, create an object so we can see this. So first of all, what I have to do is create an outer class object so that we can call that inner class. So outer class out equals new, and then outer class. Now it is worth noting that I don't have any constructors here, meaning that I don't need to give any information to my outer class or my inner class when I first call it, and that's why I can just leave these blank brackets, okay? So now if I want to see my inner class, what I have to do is I have to do out.inner, okay? So we'll call that method to create the inner class and then run that. So let's run quickly here, and we can see we get this is an inner class. Awesome, so that's working fine. Now I'm just going to make this public now, and I'm going to show you how we can do this from outside of the class. So right now what we need to do is we need to create an instance of outer class, and then we need to call the method inner to be able to create the inner class, and that's because this was private. But now that it's public, we should be able to create an instance of it outside of the class. So the way that we do that is we still need an instance of outer class because this class is defined within outer class. So we need to first create this so that this is kind of created, right? So we did that. We have outer class. Now what I can do is I can say outer class dot inner class, okay, and we'll just call this one in equals, oops, lowercase, equals out, which is going to be our instance of outer class, dot, and then in this case, we're going to type inner class. Believe this is correct, but I guess we'll see. Oh, I probably need an equal sign, and we'll type new out dot inner class, and let's see what our little red line is. Create class inner class in package out. Interesting. 1 second, guys. Okay, so that's what the issue. I knew it was something like this. What we need to do is we need to do out.new and then inner class, because we're creating a new instance inside of this, right, of outer class of inner class. Okay, so now what we've done is we've created this in, which is an object, which is a new inner class. So now we can simply use in, which is an instance of inner class, right, to display. So now we can do in.display. Okay, so if we run this, you see this is an inner class and that is working fine. So those are two ways we can get access the inner class. Now, right now you might be like, okay, well, why the heck would I do this? Because now it's just like a ton more lines. Well, there's many times where you don't really care about like this instance and you just want an instance of the object inside of it. So in that case, this would make more sense to do. And obviously you would most likely have more methods than just one that you're going to be using, okay? All right, so now that we have that, I guess let's show creating this kind of inner class stuff. So I'm going to delete this inside of a method. So we can actually create these inside of methods, which are really useful because sometimes within the method, we want to use a class and we don't want to have to define like a new file for another class, okay? So we have this public void inner. So I guess let's just work with this right now. You know, we'll even leave inner class right now and I'll just show you how this works. So all I can do in here is I can say, we can do public, you do private. In this case, I'm just going to say, I'm going to just say class. Let's see. Class, inner class. And then here, yeah, so that works fine. We're just going to redefine display. So we'll just say public void display. And now that I think of it, I probably could have just copied all my other code, but whatever. Get some practice typing. Print ln. And then in here again, well, this should probably be a T. We will just type inner class, okay? So this is going to work perfectly fine. Whenever we call this void inner, then we have this class, inner class. We're going to create an instance of it, and we're going to display it. So if I run this, I guess, wow, I really should have just kept all that code, but that's fine. Why is this not giving me the autocorrect? Outer class, out equals new, and we'll go outer class. And brackets, and then in this case we'll simply just call out dot inner. Okay, so now we can see what should happen is again we should print inner class. So there we go, and we get inner class. Now pretty much you can do this like wherever you want. The reason I'm not saying this is public or private is just because like it's already within this void. So to use it, we're gonna have to call this void. So there's not really any point in putting like private or public. But again, like if you wanted to, you could type public class, inner class, or, oh, actually, it's saying you can't do that. So I guess I was right the first time. So since it's inside of this void, you're only going to be able to use it when we call this. So there's no point in really giving it like a public or private method or class name, sorry. Because in here, we can still do public and private methods because, well, outside of the class, we might be using those methods, right? So you can see, obviously, since I'm creating this instance inside of the void, so inside of inner, and if I tried to do that outside of it, it wouldn't work because this class is only defined when we call the inner method, okay? So I think that's kind of been it for inner methods. There are like anonymous inner methods and a few like other cool things that you can do with it, but I don't find them particularly useful, so I'm not going to teach them here, especially in like a beginner's tutorial. But if you guys are interested in learning about them, I will leave a link in the description just for any of you guys that are curious. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you again in another one.